What's going on, everybody? This is your host, Calvin Wilson Jr., and my co host, Mrs. Kenderlyn Turner, and welcome
Hey,
to another episode of Church
church music.
Music Talks.
Yes, let it speak to you.
Yes, what's going on? How are
Hey,
you?
I'm good, man. How are
Good,
you?
I'm doing good.
Good.
I'm so excited for this topic that we're going to be doing today. Um, this topic is actually on one of my favorite parts of
Yes.
church, just in general, and that is praise and worship. That's
Praise
what
and
our
worship.
topic is going to be. Praise
Yay!
teams, yes, everything. So that's what we're going to be getting into today.
Mm-hmm.
But we got to take it back because it wasn't praise and worship
Mm-mm.
as we know it now. Um, for my older saints, we know it as devotional service or
Devotional and
testimony
testimony service.
testimony service.
Oh, yes.
So let's start just right there,
Mm-hmm.
because right now praise teams is pretty much you have your team, you have your sets, and you go for it 3 4 songs
Right.
at most. But devotional or testimony service is completely different.
Yeah, and we have to lay the foundation
Yes, we have
right
to.
here. Um, so, devotional testimony service, I'm not that old, but um, that's all I've known.
Yeah.
The church, the ministry where we grew up in, um, that's all we have done.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
We hold on to
until
it.
until I mean, we kind of migrated a little
Yeah.
bit,
I
but
feel like we do both.
we do.
Yeah,
We
we do
definitely
both.
do. We incorporate both. But we are an older. We got an older foundation.
Yeah, nothing wrong with it.
No, not at all. Um, and so we're not saying that there's anything wrong with devotional testimony service, but we are very much familiar with it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what is it now? Usually, now it's a whole team.
Right.
You got sets.
Mm-hmm.
This is the complete opposite. You
Right.
might have 1 to 2 people
Mm-hmm.
standing up and leading the service. All right, and it's not planned,
Not at all. Completely spontaneous.
spontaneous, and or as the Lord leads.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. You just gotta make sure you're led.
Mm-hmm. Right. That's the
But
key right there. Making sure you led.
yes, and so because we can talk about where we have grown up. Um, it's very much free. That is the
That's a
one
good
thing
way
that
to
I
describe
love.
it.
Yeah,
That's a real good way.
it's liberating. Okay, you can, if you feel like testifying,
Yeah.
just stand on up
Go for
and tell of the goodness
it.
of the Lord. Okay, if you have
Mm-hmm.
a testimony,
Yeah.
give your testimony. If you have a
Burning.
song
Burning on the inside.
on the inside, sing your song. Now, um, now with that though, you have to have um a good. Let me see. What's a good way to say it?
mm,
You have to know how to bring them back in
yeah.
sometimes
Yeah.
and be able to steer the service
You gotta
in the
have good
right
control.
direction. There you
I
go.
think that's the word. Yeah.
There you go.
Control.
And really discern,
Mm-hmm.
have a good connection. Now, devotional testimony service, um, you might as well sometimes throw out the time window
Yes.
because it can go a little longer than norm.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all, again, that's where we grew up. That's how it was. Um,
And to your point, that's where the freedom
that's the freedom.
comes
Yeah.
into it.
Now, I know like churches have steered away from that
Mm-hmm.
because of the time, because of people not being able to tell what
Yeah.
is the right thing to say, what's not the right thing to say.
You have a
Throwing
lot of preachers
stones.
just giving testimonies. Like,
Yes.
oh, you the preacher now.
Yes.
All right.
But I have to say, I can recall many instances where someone will give a testimony
Mm-hmm.
and it is what somebody else or the church itself has needed. Sometimes the very word that needs to
Mm-hmm.
come forth has come through a
Yeah.
testimony or to bear witness. We have had miracles told through a testimony. We've had visitors
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
who we don't know them, they don't know us, but because they feel free,
Yep. That's the common theme throughout all
yeah,
this, with especially
freedom.
with devotional, is
Hmm.
that freedom.
There's a freedom,
Yeah.
and they want to stand and tell where the Lord has brought them from. I remember not long ago, before the church shut down.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember the gentleman that came and testified about just being saved and delivered? Um, that was a
Yeah.
service where, I
Yeah.
mean, it completely took a turn where the brothers got together and they
Yeah.
prayed
Okay.
for him. Do you
Yeah.
remember that?
Yes.
And I won't forget that because I mean I just it
Yeah. That.
blessed
Yeah.
me, but that was so impactful. Just the fact that he felt like,
Mm-hmm.
he
Yeah.
felt loved, he felt welcome, and he felt the freedom to just share the goodness of the Lord. But in him sharing, it also allowed us to see that he still also had a need.
Mm-hmm.
And so the men gathered around him and began to pray with him. And that in itself just turned
Yeah. That.
the service turned into something else
Mm-hmm.
good. God moved. And so that is kind of like the pros and
Right.
cons.
Because you
um,
have that high of it, again, because I doubt that happens during a praise and worship set.
right, because okay, it seems so
Right, because everything's like
structured.
structured,
Yeah.
and
And there's nothing wrong with that.
there's nothing wrong with it at all. My personal opinion, I actually kind of prefer that.
Okay.
Um, but to what you were just saying in that example you gave, more times than not, I don't think that that experience happens
Hmm.
during a praise and worship set.
Correct.
So again, you have that side of it, which is like, as high as you can get.
Hmm.
Whereas on the flip side, you got it to where somebody's up testifying and they're giving
Yes.
you their whole life story, you know, and it's like, as a musician, okay, let me try to play and
Uh-huh.
get her to come on in. I know I've seen it sometimes where the praise and worship leader, they'll legit just get into the mic, and just say,
Yes. God bless
God
you.
bless you, praise the
Amen.
Lord, or clap your hands, like, and really, reel
Yeah.
them on in. Um, and so I think that may be the reason why a lot of churches have
Hmm.
probably um, moved away from devotional or testimony service.
Right.
Because I feel like churches now are really big on your experience.
Hmm.
Um, and so again, as a visitor, you know, if your music is top notch, your praise and worship team, can really engage you.
Hmm.
I think they more so go for that. Whereas you may miss out on the visitor having that freedom to just stand up and say, "Hey, I want to say what God has done for me."
Right.
Um,
And in turn, receive deliverance.
mm-hmm.
You know, the Lord saved him, did a work in his life, but deliverance was still needed.
Yeah.
And so those are the differences between
Yeah.
devotional and testimony, and then we move to praise and worship, and you move to the praise team,
Mm-hmm.
the sets, and um, I will say though, I have witnessed where, um, in traveling and singing, where praise and worship, there's there's also a liberty there too.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen at the first the praise team comes up, and it's very programmed, very organized,
Yeah.
done in excellence. There's
Mm-hmm.
nothing wrong with that. And the opening song, I've seen where people have gotten up and moved and gone to the altar during just the opening
Yeah.
song, and it just sets such.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, they're giving their heart. They're just surrendering at the beginning.
Right.
You know.
And I think real quick, I think that's why I kind of like praise and worship sets versus devotional. Because okay, we already outlined that with devotional, it is kind of like spontaneous.
Hmm.
Like you really kind of don't know
Mm-mm.
what's going to
What's
happen.
happening?
Um, I think as a musician, as a musician, and as a praise and worship leader, you're probably doing like your own personal, prayer throughout
Mm-hmm.
the week. Lord, make me ready, for service
Yeah.
Sunday, so that way, whatever comes,
I'm ready.
I'm ready for
I
it.
can shift with it. Yeah.
Right. So
Yep.
you're able to adapt and you're able to flow. Whereas with praise and worship teams and sets, okay, you have your rehearsals more times than not. Okay, I've already prayed and did that, and
Yeah.
so these are the songs that have been placed on my heart for this week for this time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think doing that, you do have a little bit of better success just from what I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because I know like there was a praise and worship that we did where you gave me the set prior, um, and me and the drummer like we were able to rehearse it and go through the changes where it all fit
Mm-hmm.
together. And
Yes.
what's crazy is that the first song that you sang, like they were ready to just go
Yeah.
after that song. They were ready, like if we wanted to shout right then and there,
Yeah.
they were ready to go.
They were open.
Right.
Listen.
But it was still necessary, not necessarily necessary, but it still fit and
Mm-hmm.
it still worked where we were able to transition to the next song,
Right.
and it still flowed perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
Now we couldn't have done another song because at that point it was like, okay, we either gonna shout now or like we gonna shout now.
Yeah.
You don't fit the second song in here, um, but yeah, I think that's for me, the preparation
Mm-hmm.
that goes into praise and worship sets, um, actually set you up
Yes.
for your Sunday service. So that's why I prefer that
Well,
personally.
I do think it's important to note that the praise and worship leaders or whoever sets the set
Mm-hmm.
for a particular service, um, it shouldn't just be based upon a sound. Like
Yeah.
because we sound good on this song, or
Yeah.
because
Mm-hmm.
it should all be spirit led, and that's really important
Mm-hmm.
with praise and worship.
Yeah.
Um,
You're setting the stage.
the ultimate goal is for God
Mm-hmm.
to dwell, for His
Yep.
presence to dwell. And why? Because when He's there,
Mm-hmm.
whatever is needed, whatever
Change
it may
comes,
be,
right.
it's gonna come when His presence is there. And I believe that sometimes it becomes too programmed,
Mm-hmm.
and it becomes where
Yeah.
this is what the band wants to do, or this is
Yeah.
what the singers want to do, and it's all because we can play really well on this, or it's
Mm-hmm.
a top 10, or
Yeah, it was a
it's
nice
what's
arrangement
popular.
that
Yeah.
that we put together.
And that's really not, that's not it. That has nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
Yes, you want to do everything well and do it in excellence, because that's all that God, He
Mm-hmm.
deserves no less than that.
Right.
But really, the excellency in it should be the heart.
Mm-hmm.
And where does it all come from? So it's important that God
Yeah.
is, you seek God.
And I think that's what makes a good praise and worship leader anyway, being able to encompass all of it.
Right.
So the fact that they are able to, okay, come up with a set,
Mm-hmm.
but then still be open enough to where, okay, this thing has completely shifted.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go with it.
Yeah.
Versus, all right, band, we I know we
This
got
is
two
what
more
we
songs,
practice.
but
Yeah.
because I've seen that happen too, to where the set is
Mm-hmm.
what the set is, and then legit the praise and worship leader, all right, band, we going another way because
Right.
God is there.
Right.
And so, like I said, for me, I think that's what makes a great praise and worship leader, just being open, um, to whatever God wants to do
Yeah.
then. And from a musician's point of view, again, the same thing, just being ready,
There you go.
to go with it. So, yes, I can, do the set and follow what we have planned, but if after we sing the first song and we got to go straight to a hymn,
Right.
or something else that we didn't have scheduled or planned based off the flow of the service. Um, just being able to follow.
Mhm.
That's really what it is.
That's what it is.
And so again, I think again this is why praise and worship is probably one of my favorite parts
Mhm.
of service in general. Because okay, yes, we did work on our set, and we have what we have planned, but okay, it's switching and it's going a different direction. All right, let's go.
Let's
Like
go.
I'm
Yeah.
excited. I'm like, all right, yeah, let's go for it.
Right.
You know, um,
Flexibility.
yeah,
Being
and
able
I
to.
think it
Yeah.
brings a bigger impact
Yeah.
on the service, and it just makes everything flow easier. You
Mhm.
know, I know the band we can be happy. I know there's times to where not to say that I'm against devotional service at all or anything. That is not what I'm
That's your
saying.
foundation. That's where.
It is.
Yes.
But I know there's been times because it is so spontaneous and out of nowhere,
Mhm.
we could be in the middle of a flow, and then all of a sudden you get just something completely random that
Yes.
makes no sense.
Breaks it all.
Yeah,
Chops it up.
and it's like, what just
What
happened?
happened?
What happened? But again, we're the musicians, so we still gotta follow.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, well, I guess we're here now, um, and then it's like, okay, let's try to build it back up,
Mhm.
get it where we were before, um, because I know sometimes we'll just be playing, and it's like, all right, guys, come on, let's bring up the energy, whether it's from the musicians or
Yes.
whether it's from the praise and worship
Yes.
leader. 'Cause I know I've seen you do that plenty of times.
Come on. Yeah.
You'll look right over and be like, "Hey, I
I mean,
I need some more energy."
because that the band and the singers have to be together. There if there's a
Hmm.
disconnect, it's
Yeah.
going to show. So
You'll
it's
be able to
really
tell.
important. You will. You will.
You'll be able to tell.
You will be able to tell, and that's the unit has to be a unit.
Hmm.
You have to be a unit, and that goes with sound
Yeah.
in the spirit. That's important. So, all of these things, all we're gonna talk more about that.
Yeah.
I'm interested to really know. Okay, well, devotional testimony phased out.
Hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
we're
It's rare. We'll
yeah,
say that.
yeah. So then, I mean, I know COVID has brought some changes,
Hmm.
and we've experienced that ourselves.
Yeah.
But that's a little more. We can get more into
Yeah.
that,
We can dig a little bit deeper
and I
into
wonder if
that.
it'll ever. What do you think? Why it phased out? Do you think it'll ever change? Will it revert back?
I
I
don't.
don't think it
I was about
will.
to say I don't think it's gonna go
No,
back.
no, I don't think
Um,
so either.
However, I do think the ones that are holding on to it
Mhm.
are going to hold on to it.
Mhm.
Um, and that's the thing. Like you said, for our church, where we're at, we're able to do both.
Right.
So if it is a special service or anything like that, we're able to, okay, this is the set. We got the team together, and it still be successful. But I know that we take pride in, or we take joy in hearing a really good testimony.
Mhm.
You know, whether it's from, we're all church family, so if we know somebody's been going through and we haven't seen them for like 2 3 months,
Mhm.
and then it's kind of like almost expected as soon as they come back to church,
Tell of its goodness.
right? And if you don't, like, people looking at you like, why didn't you get up to testify? I remember, what was it? I think it was my brother. He got into a car accident
Yeah.
or something.
Yes. I remember.
And so, the church, they find that Stephen got in a car accident.
Mhm.
And so then you go to church, and I think it was either my mom. It was
wasn't
probably
a
my
mild
mom.
car accident either. Just
No, it was a pretty major car accident.
yeah.
And I think it was my mom after that service, like, legit got on him, like, why didn't you stand up and testify? You know?
Tell what the Lord has
Right.
done.
Exactly. So,
But yeah.
That's why I say, like, for churches who still have it,
Mhm.
I believe that they'll hold on to it
Right.
for as long as they can, because generally churches who still hold on to it, you know, I talked to somebody else about, like, they have a different sound,
Mhm.
to where it's not the all rehearsed, you know, arrangements for different songs. It legit is "Have You Tried Jesus?" and just go and just running it from there. That's it.
Yeah, but I think it also makes it's important that where you are, you have to go with
Hmm.
the culture of where you
Yeah.
are. And I recall the first time we did a praise and worship set. I, it was like we were doing a concert
Hmm.
and entertaining, because they were
Yeah.
like,
What is this?
what's going
Right?
on?"
Yeah. You guys
So
are gonna sing the whole time?
yeah, and
Yeah.
we're just gonna sit there and watch it.
Right.
But eventually they caught on. However, a we have a variety. So we have
Yeah.
young, we have middle age, and we have
Hmm.
old. And so we try to
Right.
cater
Hmm.
to everyone.
That's right.
And so I think that matters.
Yeah,
Some
definitely.
churches they have no idea what devotional testimony is,
None.
and so that wouldn't necessarily
Right.
fit for that culture. So I think that's important too.
Yeah, definitely. Again, you just got to know where it is that you're at,
Yep.
and work with it. But I do think also too that, still, if you can, and they're open and receptive to change, doing it, incrementally, if that's a word,
Okay.
adding it, sparsing it out. So not just coming out and just saying, okay, hey, we're changing up the way we do praise and
Oh yeah.
worship. No longer is it just real cutthroat. Like, you can't do that to people,
Right.
because they really not going to
You
get
gotta kind of phase it
right.
in a
So
little
kind of
bit.
like phase it in. And I think that's one thing that works for us. Like, we're able to, phase stuff in
Mhm.
and out, because if all else fails, even if it is a praise and worship set, we know, okay, we need to get the crowd going. We need to get some participation. Again, have you tried? Have you tried Jesus? But it works though.
Oh goodness.
Y- you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I get joy when I think of
yeah.
you. Yes.
We still sing those
Yeah.
songs.
Indeed, we do.
We still sing quite a bit
I
of
mean,
those
and
old
we
ones.
fit in the William Murphys and the
Yeah.
Tasha Cobbs and Todd Delaney.
It still works though for the
Yeah.
people.
So yeah, there's so much more that we could talk about with this
Yeah.
topic.
So as you guys are finding out, like, these topics can't fit in one episode. So we're definitely going to be, and that's why I said we have lots of content, lots of things to talk about. So we want you guys to come back. We're going to be talking about this again, and we want you to join the conversation.
Right.
So again, follow us on our social media pages, Facebook, Instagram. That way you can get your input, and we can take back what you guys are saying.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think about praise and worship?
What's been your experience?
Do y'all know what devotional is?
Right.
I mean, hey, I feel like most of y'all do, but
I don't.
really,
No.
I think most people know what
Nope.
devotional is.
Let's we can do a poll on that. And
Yes.
See where
So
the
again,
numbers fall, but
Facebook and Instagram. Make sure you follow us, and again, give us your input. Well, this was great.
yeah.
This, like I
enjoyed
said,
it.
this is one of my favorite, parts of just church in
Yeah.
general. So it's great
It's
to
who
talk
I am.
about.
So
Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
always-
you've been in it for since I can remember. So you're the professional
Oh man,
at
please.
it. Yeah.
Church music talk.
Yeah, let it speak to you. I'm your
Yeah.
host, Calvin Wilson Jr., and my co-host here, Mrs. Kendallin Turner, and we will catch you guys next time. Peace.